right, welcome back to Gold Standard Culture. I'm Chris. We do basketball content over here, mainly Warriors stuff, but also I do a podcast with my friend Dominic where we cover the Warriors, Thunder. He's an Oklahoma City Thunder fan, and the rest of the league and everything that's going on around it. So that podcast, the Culture Cast, is on this channel, and his link will also be in the description. He does basketball content as well, In the Moment Hoops. So if you want to check out his stuff or the podcast, that's all here for you. So other than that, today, wanted to bring up the Warriors situation. Obviously, the Warriors are kind of in a bit of a pickle, and we've talked about this plenty on the podcast with trades and underperforming and just everything under the sun regarding the Warriors and their issues. But everybody that I've been seeing cover the Warriors has been kind of uttering the same thing that just doesn't add up to me. And it's that a lot of the problems right now are due to Steph, which I find to be very nonsensical. A lot of people are saying Steph Curry is the problem, not the problem, but a big reason as to why the Warriors aren't winning right now. And I think that's just kind of unfair. And so I wanted to go over that a little bit. I also wanted to talk about the three big issues with the Warriors. And then potential players, the fun stuff. We love trades. We love talking about trades. So we're going to be talking about some guys the Warriors can go out here and target at the deadline that I think could immediately impact this team and bring him back to the promised land. So I do want to start this off by saying Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson, and Steve Kerr, they are all capable, more than capable, of winning an NBA championship again, whether it be this year or next year. I think they're more than capable of doing it. Now, that being said, Steph Curry is not LeBron James. Okay? Steph's not LeBron. He's 6'3", what is he, 190? He can't do what LeBron does. LeBron doesn't have to worry about the stuff that Steph has to worry about because he's 6'8", 260, and he's just an absolute tank and can physically hold up. Steph can't. If nobody around him is really helping out, Steph's just going to get bullied all game. Every time he goes down the floor, every single defense this team faces is only worried about Steph. No one else. They're not worried about Klay right now. They don't care about Wiggins. Kuminga doesn't really do it for him. Not worried about Podziemski. Chris Paul's not even there, but even then, he wasn't really in score mode. They just don't. There's nobody on this team right now that scares anybody but Steph. Thusly, he's the only one that's going to get defended hardcore, which means if nobody else can do anything, well then Steph, what do you want him to do? He can't bully people. He can't just Giannis his way to the free throw line. That's not, he's not James Harden in 2019. That's not how it works for him. So, I want to start with that. But two, Klay, Draymond, they're in different stages in their career. Klay Thompson is no longer a guy that can go out and just get you a bucket. That's not his place anymore. Nor is he a guy that can be your number one point of attack defender. That era is gone. Obviously, for Klay, as opposed to Draymond, I think, Klay's lapses, if you want to call them that, I wouldn't even say lapses. Klay's deficiencies, better put, are more so due to injury than anything. Obviously, age is age, but I think his injuries are ultimately what has Klay in the place that he is. And I don't think Klay's in a bad spot. I just think people still have expectations of Klay Thompson that should not be applied to him. Klay Thompson's in the Miami Ray Allen phase right now. He should be just shooting threes, and funnily enough, Klay is getting better at guarding up positionally now because he's more sturdy. He doesn't have the lateral quickness he once did, so he could kind of just stay with bigger guys. So even though Klay, we know him as that one point of attack defender that was really, really good on the defensive end back in the day, he's actually kind of better now against bigger forwards, sometimes power forwards. Sometimes I've seen him post up against center or get back down pretty well and hold his own against centers. Clay is not that bad of a defender against bigger guys, but against guards, he just gets beat. Just like when you give Clay the ball, then everybody just moves away. He can't do much. Centers can stick with them because he doesn't have the agility and the speed to get past people, to move quickly enough. That's gone. So Clay's in a different spot in his career. That needs to be accounted for. Draymond, the whole suspension situation, you honestly take that how you will. I'm not even going to elaborate on that. Everyone's talked about it ad nauseum. We know Draymond and all the immaturity stuff, or whatever you want to call it. My take on Draymond, though, is they're asking vastly too much of him. Just way too much. You know, all the defense is riding on Draymond. Literally all of it. Right now in particular. You know, with the regression we've seen from Wiggins, with GP2 not being able to stay healthy, Moses can barely see the floor, no defense at center. Like, Kevon Looney's fallen off of a cliff. Dario's not a defender. Trace is a rookie, so you can't really ask too much of him, especially in the Western Conference, which is just chock full of centers and dominant forwards. You know, can't do much with, I already mentioned Moody, but you can't do much with Podziemski. He's, you know, he hustles, but he's not the best defender. Like, it's all on Draymond right now, and that's not fair for a 33-year-old guy. Come on. He's already undersized as it is. He needs some help. And funnily enough, too, his three-point percentage is, I think, at the highest it's ever been in his career. It's at like 40-something%, which is pretty crazy given the fact that, you know, he plays on a team with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, and he's shooting better from three than the both of them. But, you know, attempts, you know. But I digress. This trio, despite having its deficiencies, and, you know, being in different spots in their career, they're still capable of winning as a trio. You just they can't do it alone, though. They need help, you know? They don't need a Kevin Durant, per se, but they need guys to come in and really, you know, punch out the flaws. And that was supposed to be Andrew Wiggins, because I want to get into the three main flaws with this team right now, and I sort of alluded to it in my opening. But right now, they do not have a legitimate number 2 scoring option. Someone who can say, everybody move, I'm going to go score, I can create on my own, I don't have to defer to Steph, I don't have to defer to Clay or Draymond, I can go score on my own, I don't need anybody, I can go do it and give you 20 plus a night on relatively good efficiency. They don't have that. Andrew Wiggins was supposed to be that. He was supposed to take a step. I didn't expect him to, but everyone was like, hey, he's only 28. He could do it. Never been too high on Wiggins. You know, like him for what he is, which is a good role player at best. But this is the highs and lows of it. You're seeing the lowest of the low from Andrew Wiggins. But that peak we're hoping he could get to, it's not there. It's never going to be there because he doesn't have it in him. He doesn't have the fire to go do that. You know, some guys just don't. He's one of those that don't. And it seemed pretty evident before, but I guess not. Now, everyone kind of sees like, hey, Wiggins was, you know, right now is an outlier as far as poor performance in his career, but 2022, that was an outlier as well for good performance. Andrew Wiggins is a solid player, but what the Warriors need, whether he's peak or not, it's just not enough, you know. 15 to 18 points per game on cool efficiency, and it's just not enough, especially because his defense has been atrocious. It's been borderline unplayable. And, you know, and he's getting lapped by Kuminga, who's also not that great a defender, so it's just really rough. But they don't have a number 2 shot creator, which means Steph's the only one. That's a problem. Number 2, no legitimate point of attack defenders. Again, Wiggins has fallen off of a cliff defensively. Kuminga is very inconsistent. He's had flashes. I like to go back to that Celtics game, or that Warriors-Celtics game. Kuminga getting that final stop on Tatum in regulation. Like, that was pretty big. But there are I wouldn't even say a lot. There are some flashes from Kuminga defensively, like the chase down blocks or he read the passing lane kind of stuff. And then there's just a lot of him flying over screens when he shouldn't be, or going under screens when he shouldn't be, or ceding way too much to a guy driving, jumping. He's a big time leaper, like there's a lot of inconsistencies, and a lot of that comes with age, but also some of it's instinctual, and I don't think he has that. Could be an elite defender down the road. I don't know though, but for what the Warriors need, again, he's not it. Gary, as great as he is as a defensive guard, he can't stay healthy for one, but two, you need wings. You need a wing that can defend. Ultimately, you're going down with the starting five. You need a legit starting five to win a championship. And they don't have a number 3 right now. They don't have a number 5 either, but they don't have a number 3. And that's huge. A huge problem. So that needs to be addressed. No point of attack defenders. Last but not least, they don't have rim protection. I already talked about Kevon and Dario and Trace. They just don't have it. And like I said about Draymond too, he's just getting older. This is what happens in that stage in your career where, you could still he's still an elite defender. The IQ's there. He makes winning plays, but he needs someone to be paired with to elevate himself, but to also be the ultimate Draymond that we know he can be, because he's still capable of it. He shows it time and time again. But if you're going to run him out there with Kevon Looney, you're just going to run him down. That's it. That's all you're going to do. You're going to run him down. He's going to overwork himself. And the stuff that we expect from Draymond, you're not going to see. You're just not. Same with Dario. Dario's been fantastic for this team. But defensively, he's kind of a cone. Now, to expect anything else from Dario, who's never been a defender, is a little odd. He's kind of smart defensively, but he's not good, and starting him with Draymond is tough. Trace, there's upside, but again, you're looking 2, 3, 4 years down the road where Trace can be a legitimately viable backup center, potential starting center. They're running him now because they've got no other rim protector, and Trace has a lot of issues too, big time jumper, again, fouls plus rookie, doesn't get the calls, and anytime there's any sort of little itty bitty, he's getting called for it. So it's a little rough with Trace. I do like the upside. The finishing at the rim still worries me, but that's not even defensive. But they need rim protection. They need a legitimate center that can go up against these great centers, forwards like Jokic, Anthony Davis, and you don't need someone to come in and be like prime Ben Wallace, but you just need someone who can play well enough to where Draymond's impact amplifies. Because when Draymond's impact gets bigger, now we're talking. Now you're talking about a really strong defensive front court, as well as Draymond still being that rover defensively that he always is. So that needs to be addressed. To the fun stuff, okay? To the fun stuff. Warriors need to target some guys. Now, everyone seemed to be keying in on Pascal Siakam. Now, originally I was like, okay, I get it. Or like Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan. I wanted DeRozan for a bit, but that was before every other issue kind of compounded into what it is now. But everyone really wanted Siakam. My issue is Siakam, you're going to be going against Jokic, Sabonis, Valanciunas, Holmgren, Anthony Davis, potentially Zion as well, LeBron going downhill. So many huge people flying down at the rim, posting you up. A front court of Siakam and Draymond. Versatile, yes. Versatile. If we're playing the 2018 Rockets, that's a front court that's taken us to the finals. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But right now, nope. Siakam looks like he's going to work perfectly with the Pacers. Why? Because Miles Turner is one of the best shot blockers in the league, right? And he's like 6'11". So you legitimately have a center, a defensive-minded center. And now you can put in Siakam, who kind of plays that Draymond role, defensively at least. But if you're going to use Draymond, you can't go out there and run another tiny center. You can't do it. Unless it's Jarrett Allen, which we'll get into. And in fact, screw it. We'll just start with Jarrett Allen. That's my pick for center. Cleveland, even though they're winning again, they're kind of in a bit of a spot themselves. A lot of rumors about Donovan Mitchell potentially getting traded. The whole Twin Tower thing with Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley is kind of iffy. Too small, a really small backcourt, like 6'2" apiece. Garland and Donovan Mitchell, really small and then really tall, and they don't have fantastic wing production. I mean, Max Strus has some games here and there. Karis LeVert, same deal, but he's coming off the bench. Okoro just hasn't really panned out. So they need some help, and they kind of need to pick a direction. Whether it be Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland or Jarrett Allen or Evan Mobley, I imagine it's going to be Garland and Mobley that end up sticking. Just my 2 cents. Could be wrong, but that's how I feel, and I think most people would probably agree that that's the pair they'd stick with. If you want to ultimately build around a guy like Darius Garland, having Donovan Mitchell there doesn't really make sense. Having having Jarrett Allen and then Evan, it just doesn't make sense. Or if you're Donovan Mitchell, having Darius Garland next to you, who's a pick and roll heavy dominant guard, like that doesn't add up, And then you have Evan Mobley, who wants to be around the mid-range, the post, and then get in dunker spot. Donovan Mitchell wants to have a 5-out offense. Just spread it out and let Donovan Mitchell do his thing. It's just, that doesn't make sense. So I think it's going to be Garland and Mobley that stay, which means the Warriors should target Jarrett Allen. Jarrett Allen is still one of the best shot blockers in the league. He is 6'9". Granted, the afro really makes you think otherwise. But Jarrett Allen is just a really good center. Great lob threat. He's starting to kind of develop a mid-range shot, which is cool to see. Is it reliable? Probably not, and I don't really want Jarrett Allen taking mid-range shots during the postseason, but, if it's going to work, it's going to work. So, whatever it is, right? But he's good at driving to the rim and attacking the rim. So that's a big-time situation, too, where screens, rolling, he can kind of be a ball handler in rolling situations as well. It doesn't have to be just lob threats like we kind of expect with Trace sometimes, or there are a lot of centers where it's just like, if it's not in the air, they're not doing anything. It's just going to be kicked right back out. So I like Jarrett Allen. I think his fit next to Draymond would be spectacular. It would help Steph. It would alleviate pressure there. Plus, the defense now has to be wary about the lob all the time and just a big guy getting to the rim. So that changes a lot of stuff. Big time upgrade for the Warriors at center. I'd love to see Jarrett Allen. Next, wing. We need a big time small forward. There are 2 that are even likely to be traded, and one of them might not. Both of them don't really have to be. And Warriors fans, I'm going to be blatantly honest. If you don't think Kuminga and Moody are leaving, then you're not getting better. This team is never going to get better. If everything had panned out with James Wiseman and Jordan Poole, we're talking about a different situation. Now we're looking at, okay, James Wiseman's this great player. Jordan Poole's sticking here, so he never needed Chris Paul, right? Like, if all that worked out, we're not even in this situation. We're good. We're all good. But it didn't. It didn't work out. Jordan Poole is just kicking it, chilling, shooting 12% or whatever from 3 with the Wizards, and Wiseman should not even be on an NBA team. But that's kind of how the cookie crumbles sometimes. And so the Warriors are in this situation right now where they've got young players who really aren't, potential superstars. I mean, a lot of Warriors fans seem to think Kuminga is going to be a big-time star. I don't see it. I don't see the whole Giannis thing that everybody says. Every year we go into the summer league and see Kuminga shoot a ton of threes, and everyone's like, oh my God, Kuminga's going to be shooting a ton of threes. Like, I'm just happy if he shoots decent from 3. I don't think it's going to stick. I think I talked about that in my opening video to start the season. Like, nobody take that seriously. But Kuminga's just limited. He's limited offensively. He's limited defensively. He makes a lot of IQ errors, and he doesn't have enough playing time under his belt to really notch those things out in a timely fashion. And I don't think whatever peak we're going to see from Kuminga is going to be a champion, is going to be a 1A championship kind of guy. So, in my opinion, build around Steph while you've got him. Like, I talked so much last season, and I know the videos are hidden. I privated them, but I talked so much last season about, pick a direction. Whether it be the young guys or not, you got to pick a direction. And they moved Poole. They moved Poole. They traded Wiseman, which indicated to me that they were picking a direction. So you got to commit now, right? I agree you got to get off of Chris Paul's contract and you got to move Wiggins, but that means as well, you're probably going to have to move Kuminga. You're probably going to have to move Moody. And as much as I think he's been fantastic and is honestly the only win now role player or rookie that we have, which is Podziemski, you might have to move him too. And potentially Trace, on top of those 2 first-round picks, 2026 and a 2028. And I think they got 5 or 6 seconds for the remainder of the decade. But they got to make something happen. And the 2 guys I think they need to target for the wings specifically, Jerami Grant, number 1. That is my number 1 pick. Jerami Grant from the Portland Trailblazers. I hope he gets here. I hope he comes to the Warriors. I think Jerami Grant will be a perfect fit. Both of these guys that I'm going to name are just Andrew Wiggins, but better, more aggressive, and just actually look like they want to play ball. Jerami Grant averaging 21.5 points per game on 46% shooting from the field, 40% from 3 on 5+ attempts, and he's shooting 42% on catch and shoot threes, which is pretty much the only threes that he shoots. He's not a big pull-up guy from 3. He's mostly a mid-range guy. He gets into the post, attacks the rim. He's a very athletic power forward / small forward. Again, here he'd be a small forward, but he's 6'9". He's lanky. He's got the wingspan, and he can move laterally. He's a really solid defender. 34% defensive field goal percentage from 3, which is better than both Wiggins and Clay. He's just an immediate upgrade in every facet. He's not a big rebounder, nor is he a big assist guy, but again, should you bring in a Jarrett Allen? Should you bring in a Jakob Poeltl? Should you bring in someone like that to really up the ante defensively? Do you really need Jerami Grant getting 8 boards? You don't. So, keep that in mind. Next, and this is the big swing. Again, both of these, Portland and then Brooklyn. It's Mikal Bridges. Brooklyn, both of them, they don't have to make a trade. They don't have to make a trade. A lot of people are assuming Brooklyn has to trade. They don't have to. They don't really have a young core. Like Cam Thomas is just a glorified Jordan Clarkson. And that dude's he's meh. He's not a big superstar. Yeah, he scores. That's all he does. He's just an ISO guy. Can't defend, can't play make, can't rebound. Just scores. Not going to get you much. And then Nick Claxton, who's a free agent. They just don't have much youth, talented youth to build around. Which means the core they've got right now, even though they're kind of in a weird spot where they don't really know what to do, they don't have picks, they don't really have much to move, they're on some bad contracts like Ben Simmons. They don't really have to make anything happen. They could kind of just chill and check out the offseason, see what happens there, potentially re-sign Claxton if that's the direction they want to go in, or try and bring in another big player to pair with Mikal Bridges if it's possible. But should he be available, Mikal Bridges would be the number 2 guy that I'd love to have on this team. He's averaging 21.5 points per game as well, on 45% shooting from the field, 35% from 3 on 6 attempts. Not as good as Jerami Grant, who's having a fantastic season shooting, but Mikal Bridges is a great corner shooter. And he's shooting 37% on catch and shoot from 3. Most of his shots that he makes, though, come from the mid-range and the paint. 10 attempts per game there for him, and he's shooting 51%. Again, shot creator, him and Jerami Grant, both of those guys. It's Steph, you don't, okay, give it on down there. let Clay run around the perimeter, Draymond set screens, normal stuff. But they don't have that right now. So a guy like Mikal Bridges comes in and can attack in the mid-range and be pretty deadly there. Jerami Grant, same deal, post up, create some mismatches, get Steph the ball or Clay the ball. Like, there's a lot you could do with this. We've seen with KD. It's really tough to stop when you've got multiple guys on the roster that can shoot the ball well on top of create. So in this Warriors offense, this motion offense, lower defensive field goal percentage than all three Warriors wings right now. Wiggins, Clay, Kuminga. And we all know Mikal's just an elite defender. Like, just bottom line, Mikal is one of the best, one of the premier perimeter defenders in this league. I know his numbers haven't been that great since he's been in Brooklyn, but Brooklyn's just kind of in a weird spot right now. They're kind of in a tweener team. They're in no man's land, but Mikal's an elite defender. We don't even need to question that. That's the reality, But yeah, that's what needs to happen here. Steph's not the problem. He's just getting older, and he doesn't have enough help around him. Clay's in a different spot in his career. Can't be that number 2 guy like he was in 2015-16. And Draymond needs some help protecting the rim. And I think not only do they need Jerami Grant or Mikal Bridges and bringing in a guy like Jarrett Allen or Jakob Poeltl, they need to get a role player wing too. Like a, potential Matisse Thybulle fit. I'd love that. Or Dorian Finney-Smith. They need to make something like that happen. They do. Because, if you don't go out and get another shot creator, they're just not, the Warriors can't win. They just can't. They don't have enough. They don't have enough offense on this roster. I'm thinking playoffs, and I'm looking at how defense just tightens up every single time you go into the playoffs. And teams like the Lakers, who are such a bad matchup for the Warriors, favoring the Lakers. If you don't have a guy that can create for themselves aside from Steph, you're screwed. I'm sorry, you're just screwed. Like, you could get away with it against a team like the Kings because the Kings don't play a lick of defense. But for the Warriors, you go up against a bigger team, you go up against Denver, you go up against any of those teams that are big, that have athletes on that roster, the Thunder even. It's going to be an ugly day. It really is. So I'm not too big on signing or trading for a guy like Zach LaVine. Not too big on trading for a guy like Vucevic. Great players in their own right, but contractually for LaVine, it's rough. Plus, he's not a good defender, and he's kind of an inefficient shot creator. Like, not someone that I think fits as well as a guy like Bridges or Jerami Grant. And then Vucevic, again, he just doesn't play much defense. He's a solid rebounder, and he can score. He obviously would be a great fit if the Warriors had elite point of attack defense, but they don't. So Vucevic here would kind of just be a cone. And you don't want that because you already have that with Kevon Looney. But Kevon Looney's not making $18.5 million a year. So that's going to do it. Yeah. So Steph, not the problem. But that's how you can fix the Warriors. And they need to make stuff happen. Otherwise, this team's just going to be dead in the water. Bottom line, I don't think they're going anywhere if they don't make any trades. And they're really pushing their luck, waiting and waiting and waiting. I know Decky just passed. We talked about it on the podcast. It's very sad, and I know some of these guys saw that happen, and that's absolutely insane and really scarring, I have to imagine, and traumatic. It really is. So I understand the potential hesitancy to do anything like that out of respect or seeing in bad taste or anything like that. But yeah, the games are going to go on eventually, and we're going to be sitting here saying the same thing in a month if they just stand pat. So I do want to close it out on that. Rest in peace, Decky, and I hope the best for Verdeon's family. And I've seen the stuff that they're doing over in Serbia. It's fantastic. I saw them tag the Warriors. It's awesome. I've loved seeing the outpour of support for his family and for him. It's really cool. So, great guy. Everybody's been sharing clips of Decky and his time with the Warriors, and it brightens your day. The guy was so cool, so fun, so joyous. So yeah, but that's gonna wrap things up. Again, if you like this kind of content, we do it here. We also have a podcast, so make sure to check that out if that's at all interesting to you. And then go over and check out Dominic's channel if you want. His link again is in the description as well. And that's gonna do it. So if you like the video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And have a good rest of your week. Peace.